Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express, the important news and editorial that would be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 23rd of May. The first important news is regard to 3rd India Pacific Island Cooperation Summit, which Prime Minister has participated and made an address. We'll see the detail. Second, Center seeks stricter implementation on the ban of e-cigarettes. Third, Education Ministry hold meeting on Parak platform. Second last, that is government to bring, basically government is looking forward to bring a law where the birth and death data will be merged with the electoral roll so that then auto updation is taking place. So this is something which has been brought in by Ministry of Home Affairs. We'll see the details as well. And the last is an editorial. It's time to ensure safer skies. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further ado, let's get started. And if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. And if you're looking forward with integrated test series, this is the time that you need to enroll. Basically, those who will be appearing for 2024 as well. So you can get 30 prelims test and 8 main tests. This will be followed by free mentorship along with the test series and IAS Guested magazine, which is a must read for current affairs. You will be also provided the test on current affairs, CSAT and full length test. For more details, do refer to the description section of this video to find more details and enroll for the test series. Now starting with the first news, that is 3rd India Pacific Island Cooperation Summit, something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So Prime Minister was recently addressing the part of 3rd India Pacific Island Cooperation, which is also known as FIPIC. And this summit was held at Papua New Guinea, which is something calling for free and Indo-Pacific. Prime Minister has categorically called that free and Indo-Pacific should be the priority. And not only in this forum, इंडिया ने और भी कई फोरम में फ्री और basically free and open Indo-Pacific की बात की है, whether it is Quad or any other membership. India has been vocal on that part, right? So this was the main highlight and India's commitment when it comes to the development goal as a member country. The summit also took place at the time when China is making effort to enhance the military and diplomatic influence in the region. By this region, I mean Indo-Pacific, right? So this is something which is again very important. The Prime Minister has also emphasized the need for multilateralism, respecting the sovereignty and integrity for all the countries, right? And even India has categorically said that respect for territorial integrity should be something that should not be compromised. तो इंडिया ने अपनी एंड से जितनी ग्लोबल लेवल पे जिस फोरम पे जो रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन है उसकी एडहेरेंस की बात की है to the extent that it should be in a cognizance to all the member countries. Now India's initiative for Pacific Island countries, क्या क्या ऐसे steps हैं जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने स्पेसिफिकली लिए हैं. At the summit, India announced that initiative across the wide array of areas are there, specifically for the Pacific Island country. PIC stand for Pacific Island country, right? So the challenges for achieving the aspiration as well as well-being and development of its people, that has been the priority. दूसरी अगर बात करें, Prime Minister ने बताया that India would continue to help the Pacific Island with every possible way, चाहे वो climate change की बात हो. The priority this has been highlighted, the core area. The first among them is the climate change. दूसरी बात की गई है natural calamity की. Third is poverty and again famine. So these are the area where India said that they'll be looking forward to contribute, right? And the new challenges that is emerging in terms of supply chain of food, fuel, fertilizers, pharma, that is facing hurdle, India is ready to contribute and help. He also assured that the 5 PIC members and even the India's support in the field of sustainable development, science and technology and space applications. Now, India's Act East policy की अगर बात करें, this is something which India is looking forward with. India engagement with the 14 Pacific Island countries are part of India's Act East policy, and a major part of India's engagement with PIC is through the development assistance under the South Cooperations, which is mainly in form of capacity building and community development approach. A major initiative launched under the rubric of Act East policy. I'll tell you which are the country which India is actually prioritizing in terms of Act East policies. और खास करके अगर बात करें इंडिया पैसिफिक आइलैंड कॉर्पोरेशन की, इंडिया हैज बीन ऑलवेज सम country which has helped out to this country. The Prime Minister of India has hosted the first five-peak summit in Suva in November 19, 2014, which during his visit to Fiji. So the name and venue is important. This is the third summit, right? This is the third summit which is taking place. Now, the other two summit, the first was there at Suva, and the second, the five-peak summit, was there in Jaipur. So these are again very important. There can be a direct question even in prelims examination. And if you are preparing for any other government examination, the venue become important. So if you look at the map, which are the countries which India called for the East policies, even for looking for the Act East policies. So these are the countries like Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Philippines, Brunei, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. Now, moving to the other news, Center seeks stricter implementation of a ban on e-cigarettes, something important for General Studies Paper 2 in the mains, that is issues related to development and management of health. So recently the Union Health Ministry has issued a public notice, and this notice was issued to strengthen the part of enforcement which call for prohibitions in the manufacturing, sale and advertisement of electronic cigarette. So this is something which government has come up with a strict guideline, and the ministry has categorically noted कि जो adherence होनी चाहिए इस rules और regulations की वो proper नहीं हो पा रही है इंडिया में. Now, while e-cigarettes still being easily accessible online and even the tobacco shop despite the ban, Ministry has directed all stakeholders including the producers, manufacturers, importers, distributors and advertiser and the retail to strictly comply with the Act's provision, right? See, there is a leniency, there is a loophole. That is the reason government is trying to strengthen it and even come up with the penal provision if required, but there's no disclosure as such on that regard. Now, what is e-cigarette? I'll tell you with the infograph also, but before that, just tell you the content part of the e-cigarette. So e-cigarette is also the part where the device is powered by batteries, which heats a substance, usually liquid form, contain nicotine in various flavor, right? So the heating process create an aerosol which can be inhaled. तो एक aerosol create होती है जो directly आप inhale कर सकते हैं. And as a result of the vapor, it contains nicotine, it drops directly into lungs, and even it reach out to your bloodstream, right? Those individual who takes it. Now, in comparison to the traditional tobacco, जहाँ पे एक normal tobacco को lighten up करने पे, it called it operate differently because when a cigarette is being smoked or tobacco is being smoked, उसके कई by product निकलते हैं जैसे tar, carbon monoxide and numerous other chemicals are there, but in e-cigarette primarily only nicotine is released, right? So this can be again an important point for the prelims examination in the science and tech or biology questions. Now, how does e-cigarette work? You can see this is how it actually look like. These are the other images for the e-cigarette, the different variant of e-cigarette. Now, there is something that is indicator. First is the LED indicators are there. Then we have microprocessors, atomizers, heating, cooling, mouthpiece. Then there's a lithium ion battery which is there, and replacement cartridge are there, right? So device is activated when user inhales from its mouthpiece, and atomizers heats up and the liquid through the cartridge, aerosol released, and the vapor is being produced and the LED indicators lighten up. So this is how it actually works. Now, prohibitions on Electronic Cigarette Act 2019, the public notice was issued by the Ministry of Health, which has aimed to raise the awareness about the banning of the e-cigarette और इसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशंस को लेकर के ही स्पेसिफिकली इस रूल्स और एक्ट को लाई गई. बट व्हेन यू सी द पार्ट ऑफ प्रोहिबिशन, mostly these were on the part of regulation for productions, manufacturing, import, export, transport, sell, distribution, storage और advertisement को लेकर के थी, जहाँ पे मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस ने स्पेसिफिकली इस तरह के जो सेल है उन पे बैंड लगाने की बात की थी, एंड इवन said that it was aimed to protect the young from the hazardous effect of the e-cigarettes. Now, in February, the ministry has written all the state and UT to ensure effective compliance of the ban on e-cigarette, expressing the concern that devices are still available online at the local vendors also. Online भी available है काफी easily और local vendors के पास भी ये options available है. So that should be completely banned so that we are saving our youth from the addictions of e-cigarettes. Now, concern over weak enforcement. Definitely, there is a concern over weak enforcement, and the ban on electronic cigarette was introduced to protect younger generations from the new form of toxic addictions. However, it is enforceable that the weak resulting in the market being flooded with the cheap and unbranded Chinese electronic cigarette. So once the regulation, there's no strict penal provision, that is that is something that is inevitable, and these market get flooded with Chinese product. So that is the reason government has come up with strict regulation, and in a this is something which the result can be seen over the year. We have to wait so that the positive result in this regard and the ban is fully implemented. Now, Education Ministry hold meeting on the Parak platform, something again very important. This was there in news, and Parak is something which can be a direct question in the prelims examination, right? So issues related to development and management of education and human resources. So recently, the Ministry of Education and the National Assessment Regulator Parak has organized first workshop to brainstorm the school assessment examination practices, which is equivalent to the board across the country. काफ़ी बोर्ड के हर स्टेट के अलग अलग बोर्ड्स के एग्जामिनेशन है. So the assessment part will be taken care by the Parak, and Parak has been recently come up, and this is the part of NCERT. I'll tell you the details. So currently there are across the country 60 school examination board that is operating in different state and union territories. This is again, you can take a note for, this is again relevant for prelims and mains examination. The Ministry of Education aims to establish a unified, enable streamlined transitions for the student moving between the different board and the region. Now, जो परख की mandate है, that is to work on bringing the school board across the state and union territories on a common platform. जिस तरह से CBSE के schools होते हैं, they are operating in different state but they have one uniform board. वैसे ही ICSE के boards हैं, right? So these are the things that is actually operating. The same will go for the state board, where Parak will be acting as a bridge. Now, what is Parak? Parak stands for the Performance Assessment Review Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. It was launched as a part of National Education Policy 2020, right? And this called for setting the body to advise this school board regarding the assessment pattern, latest research, and promoting collaborations between them. Now, one thing that is important, that Parak is a component of NCERT. This has to be noted. There can be a direct statement in prelims examination whether it is a part or not. Yes, Parak is a part of NCERT. It is also responsible for conducting the recurring learning outcome assessment like National Achievement Survey and State Achievement Survey. It will focus on three main assessment areas, that is extensive assessment, school-based assessment, and examination improvement. Now, the government is expecting Parak to conduct the National Achievement Survey in 2024. So this is something that is expected कि Parak कोई डिटेल के साथ एक डिटेल एनालिसिस और असेसमेंट के साथ आएगी for the National Achievement Survey by 2024. Now, focus on workshop is again a priority. The workshop focus on discussing on the equivalence across the education. Multiple stakeholders were formed regarding the conceptions of Parak. Discussion is evolving around the need to have a basis of prevailing route, which is something the culture in our education system, and to reform the education system in the country. Now, there is a growing realization that holistic assessment in comparison with the part of dimension for the student abilities and potentially are equally important. The workshop will assess the part of examination practices and even the board across the country. So this is how the things will work out. Now, moving to the other news, government to bring bill to link birth date data with the electoral roll. Something, I think, reformative decision by the government of India. Still, the part of rationale has not been, made clear, and there's no opposition to this what the government has come up with. But we are looking from the examination point of view, so we'll have a neutral view on this. Something important for General Studies paper 2, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So center is planning to bring a bill in the parliament and the next session, the upcoming session, where the death and the birth and the death will be merged with the electoral roll with the overall developmental process. Why? What is the rationale from the government? It said that under this process, अगर किसी individual की birth होती है, suppose उसकी birth की record है, so there is a birth record. So whenever he turns 18, at the age he turns 18, he will be automatically the part of the electoral roll. So manually उस individual को जा करके electoral में roll करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. And again, if this individual dies, so the election commission will automatically delete the member from the electoral roll. So I think it's an important step. These kind of this is a minute part of the technological upgradation which should have been done earlier. बहुत ही पहले इस तरह के innovations को कर लिया जाना चाहिए था. But nevertheless, if we have come now, it is really appreciable. Now, amendment to the Registration of Birth and Death Act. Now, just to tell you, these part of the information was given by the minister where he was inaugurating the new building of the census, right? जनगणना भवन की एक नई इनॉग्रेशन की गई है दिल्ली में, उसी कंसर्न में, उसी इनॉग्रेशंस में ये सारी बातें रखी गई. Now, amendment to the Registration of Birth and Death Act. According to the officials, the bill to amend the registrations of the Birth and Death Act will also facilitate the matter related to the issuance of driving license and passport, giving benefit to the government official schemes and people beside others. If the data for the birth and death certificate is preserved specific way, then will be estimated by time in the census planning for the development of the work done properly. Now, the Decensal census, which was completed in 2021, was indefinitely postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic, and even government has not stated the reason why they are not starting it. Let's see when government is coming up. I personally feel this will be done post the Lok Sabha election, which is due in 2024. Now, upgrade a sample registration system की भी inauguration हुई है. The Union Minister for Home has also inaugurated the part of the sample where registration system for the mobile application was taken, or SRS, that is sample registration system, is a demographic survey which is conducted every year by the Registrar General of India to estimate the birth rate, death rate, and other fertility and mortality indicators. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, it's a time to ensure safer skies, something important for General Studies paper 2. That is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. And this is again important for General Studies paper 3, where infrastructure is categorically mentioned. तो वहाँ पे भी आप इस topic को important रख सकते हैं. Now, what I'll be discussing under this editorial, it's about the air safety and the policy. We'll see the background, why the concern has been raised about the air safety. No lesson has learned with the incident that took place in Mysore, and even the part of the formations of the civil aviation safety and the conclusion part. Now, looking into the part, basically what has happened in Mangalore, right? So, in Air India Boeing 787 aircraft arrived from Dubai, and in this particular aircraft, 167 board passengers were thrashed at Mangalore International Airport, right? So just to correct you, this is Mangalore, not Mysore. So Mangalore was a place where this incident took place, and this is something which has shook the entire country with a part of the system that we are operating with. Now, इसी कंसर्न में इसी चीज को ध्यान में रखते हुए एक PIL फाइल की गई थी, पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन, and they fought for understanding and undersigned to stop the construction of the second runway at Mangalore airport, right? जो इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट है उसको बंद करने की बात की थी, और इस पीआईएल को कोर्ट ने रिजेक्ट किया, एंड इवन दे आस्क्ड दैट इमरजेंसी सिचुएशंस को ध्यान में रखते हुए they could not have approached with a few kilometers, and again I'll tell you how it was actually rejected on that part by the court. So background अगर देखें 1997 में एक बैंगलोर बेस्ड एनजीओ है, दैट इज एनवायरमेंट सपोर्ट ग्रुप फिल्ड अ पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन, उन्होंने फाइल किया कर्नाटका हाई कोर्ट में, and the group was concerned with the second runway of the Mangalore airport, right, which was I was discussing in the initial part. Now they said that the standard and requirement which is there is not adherence to the part of the quality which is there, right? तो जो PIL फाइल की गई थी हाई कोर्ट में, PIL को रिजेक्ट किया हाई कोर्ट ने, and basically when they challenged the Supreme Court has noted the remark, and Supreme Court said that we see no reason to interfere, and we however have clarified the construction of airport and the government should comply with all applicable laws and also with the environmental norms. तो ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इस बातों को कहा था, and even the incident has shook the country. उसके बाद भी पोस्ट और भी इंसिडेंट हुए, we have not learned the lesson. This is what has been highlighted in this editorial. Now, no lesson learned in the PIL, which was highlighted for the violations and also dismissed the Supreme Court showing the judiciary reluctance to act against the government agencies. The AIE was too high and too fast to touch and even was late. So, some technicalities of that is also involved in that. Now, the CRAST is a illegal concentrate structure which the instrument landing system and local antenna was mounted. और इंटरनेशनल सिविल एविएशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की अगर बात करें, दे हैव सेट 2010 as a deadline to ensure that localizer structure was fungible. Now, to make the system worse, the structure was placed with the still grider, which has make thing more worse. और कोर्ट ऑफ इंक्वायरी में भी इस चीज को इग्नोर की गई, इस वायलेशन को भी इग्नोर किया गया, which has actually make thing more worse. Now, even the investigations by the Director General of Civil Aviation and एयरक्राफ्ट एक्सीडेंट इंसिडेंट ब्यूरो, जिसे AAIB भी कहते हैं, उसने भी इस चीज़ों को रिजेक्ट किया है, दे हैव एक्चुअली फेल्ड टू रिकॉग्नाइज दिस पॉइंट आल्सो. नाउ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ सिविल एविएशन सेफ्टी एंड एडवाइजरी काउंसिल बनाई गई. वी हैव सीन दैट actually there is a need for council. So government finally, the Ministry of Civil Aviation has constituted a civil aviation advisory council after the Mangalore crash, and the operations aerodrome and ATC, that is the air traffic control, has tasked with the deficiencies and providing the corrective measures. The focus was on the critical runs such as Mangalore and Calicut, and this is something which pointed out failure for the court of inquiry identifying serious and taking the corrective steps. Now, beside that, Ministry and DGCS ignored the warning which was given. Even the PIL was filed, but no lesson was learned, and accident again on 7th of August 2022, which has cost 21 lives for the country. Now, to conclude the part, definitely the protection of the safety information is significant. We need to increase and enhance the part of the system that is working with the ATC, and even the infrastructure development is a mandatory. Sharing the exchange and safety norm initiative is important. Guideline related to DGCA civil aviation requirement and safety management system, something is very important that should be adhered. Now, the government of India need to focus on infrastructure development. Without proper infrastructure, we cannot rule out the accident. अगर proper infrastructure हो तो इस तरह के crashes से बची जा सकती है, and even to contribute the growth of the aviation sector. So, infrastructure development is inevitable and very, very important to enhance the part of the seamless experience for the aviation sector. Now, moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option is A. For second question, the correct option is B. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको election symbol के बारे में बताना है. When a recognized party split, the regional officers takes the decision on assigning the symbol. 2 or more political parties can have same symbol in the same territory. Now, the second question of the day is about the National Mobile Monitoring Software app. It permits real-time attendance of the worker as Mahatma Gandhi Nandrega website. And the app was launched by the Ministry of Rural Development. So do check out for the correct option. Practicing a lot more questions will definitely help you to get an added advantage for the prelims examination. So we have a lot more other platforms, social media platform, where questions are being put up. Do check it out and practice a lot many questions. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.